What's up, guys? Johnny Con here, aka Not Such a Conqueror. Today, I just want to talk a little bit about 1 year into taking the occult very seriously and practicing it on a daily basis and what I've learned. Particularly, I wanted to talk about how some things didn't make sense at first or come naturally to me, or how you can learn from failure and how it pays off later on. Nothing is ever really failure, you know. Uh, Magic, particularly chaos magic, is exactly what it says it is. Chaos magic. It's not an exact science. There's going to be a lot of experimenting, seeing what works, seeing what comes more naturally to you. For example, the traditional method of invoking, the goetic spirits didn't come naturally to me, But through practicing uh, other arts, I was able to put two and two together, you know, or even finding methods that are simpler in invoking goetic demons, Um, for example, I've been studying the pathways, the gateways of the Necronomicon, and not everybody takes it seriously, but indulge me for a minute, Um, I don't want to get too deep into it and how it's legit or not, but I do, and if you don't, and if you want to talk about it in the comments, you're gonna get ignored or blocked, just for being an asshole, I don't. Okay, now listen. So I did the gateways of the Necronomicon, the 13 gates of the Necronomicon method, and that kind of helped me kind of how can I say this? Helping me astrally, helping me meditate, helping project my astral form out there in the astral realm. And that kind of also helped me put two and two together, you know. I realized that a lot of magic, simple magic, is merely imagination. Magi, imagination. It's in there. Um, the most simplest shit is really what was most effective in my experience. You don't need to make a big fucking thing, to make an effective form of magic. It could be very simple. With all due respect, the ancestors that practiced hoodoo worked with whatever they had, you know. And basically, ingredients across the board in magic generally mean the same thing, For example, black pepper, means this, or, this spice means that, generally means the same thing across the board. You're going to find out ways to experiment, with things. Um, I've worked with Hindu magic, with Jinn magic, the Goetias, and for me personally, I started to learn. You want to give the magic space to kind of you want the spirit or the entity to basically give space to do its thing. Respect the entity, respect the demon, give it space, give it time. Because it's kind of like working out, The muscle builds up in periods when you're resting or not even thinking about working out. That's kind of how magic works too. You made your petition, you made your ritual, leave it alone. What else? Um, yeah, I always wanted to be humble. I was very lucky to befriend a YouTuber. And I'm very lucky that he was not very condescending. He never treated me in a condescending manner. Any question that I had, I was very lucky to kind of basically be under his tutelage. Even if we were the same age, he was just years ahead of in experience. And I was very lucky to make his friendship. So that's another thing as well. This past year, I found out, tarot decks, one that resonated with me a little bit better than the traditional Rider Waite tarot. The Necronomicon tarot kind of speaks to me a little bit better. Um, what else? Anybody that's new to this, I've said it before. I'll say it again. It's as deep as you want it to be. You know, there is a form of magician that just practices for a minute. They maybe they're doing it to get the attention of somebody, like a love spell or something. You know, which I understand. I understand lusting after somebody or wanting someone to want. I understand that. You know, I don't believe in karma. I don't believe in the three form law, really, because I think there's people that use their morality to kind of manipulate people. So I don't believe in karma, really. If you want something, I think you should go and get it. But not that there's not going to be any consequences, If you're an obsessive person, or, or if you haven't done any shadow work, you want a result, there is a chance that your own hatred will burn you, if you don't get it checked under control, Um, but that being said, I don't really believe in karma. I I think you should if karma's working too slow for you, I think you should take it by the reins. Disclaimer, I'm not telling you to go out there and harm people physically, okay? Use your discretion. What else? I'm sorry if this was all over the place, but like I've learned a lot of things over the last year, so to get to the point, you're going to learn a lot from failure. And if one thing doesn't come naturally to you, even if something doesn't come naturally to you, learn it. And you're going to find later on that it fits into the puzzle somehow, So that's just my 2 cents and where I'm at this year, 1 year into taking this journey very seriously. I am a humble student still. I love the academic part of the occult, and let's see where our journey takes us. All right. Thanks for listening to my TikTok. Peace.